all aboard the 1880 train for a scenic ride down the same tracks where steam engines have been rolling through South Dakota's picturesque Black Hills since the 1880s.
It's just beautiful. South Dakota countryside.
So this was, what you're seeing, the straight line in front of you was the main line that ran from Nebraska up to Deadwood in the late 1880s to 1890.
Tracks were first laid down to service the dozens of mining operations that sprang up after General George Custer's expedition discovered gold here in 1874.
I've been told at one point in time there was over 65 mines in the 10 miles of track that we ride on.
Looking out the window, you see the occasional weathered remnants of that mining heritage. But mostly, it's just beautiful country with a rich history.
The trains are authentic.
As is the train itself.
We've had several train rides like this. This is one of the better trains we've ridden.
Starting with the rare century-old saddle tank steam engine pulling these vintage passenger cars.
So they have a lot of weight over the driving wheels, which is very important for us to climb the big grade out of here. A normal tender locomotive with a fuel and water car pulled behind isn't as efficient at climbing these mountain lines.
Only 3 of these engines still exist, 2 of which operate here, uniquely suited for this rugged terrain.
They're also what they call compound and articulated. So there's a second set of pistons that pivots out from underneath the boiler, and that allows them to navigate the sharper curves that you're going to see on a mountain railroad like we are here.
Top speed is just 10 miles an hour.
You are approaching the top of 10 Mill Hill.
It's because of the terrain of the track. I've yet to find a very flat spot on this railroad. It is always an up or down, and we have really sharp curves.
Not to worry, a highly skilled 2-man crew is at the controls up in the engine, which takes a lot of manual levers, dials, and know-how to operate.
I'm taking 1 cubic inch of water and I'm heating it to 500 degrees. That 1 cubic inch of water will become 1,724 cubic inches of steam. That's what gives us our driving force.
But these guys are living the dream.
I've been in love with trains since I was probably 5 years old, so yeah, it's kind of a dream come true for me.
Steam engines have forever run on oil here in the Black Hills, where coal-fired locomotives were outlawed back in the day.
And the reason that they didn't like coal is it produced hot cinders that could go out the stack and land, and it could set a fire off.
Steam takes water, and this is one thirsty engine. It holds 1,200 gallons, but the 20-mile round trip from Hill City to Keystone takes 2,000. So the engine tanks up on both ends of the line. And Engineer Mark tops off the oil.
As we get to each stop, we gotta top off all our little oil cups on oil here. It helps keep it lubricated and moving smooth.
At the Keystone Depot, the steam engine always draws a big crowd. But few people see all the work it takes to keep this living history rolling down the tracks. Most of which goes on year-round at the Hill City Depot.
This is where we're gonna drop the wheels down into the pit. The locomotive goes out, we raise the wheels up and set them on the rails. So yeah, this is our tool wall. We've got all sorts of wrenches.
And there are all kinds of specialized tools and parts.
Most of our parts have to be fabricated and machined.
You won't find at Home Depot.
Suspension bars. Locomotives have leaf springs, kind of like your cars, and these bars here are kind of what help hold them in place.
Another workshop maintains the historic train cars.
And this car was actually used in the movie Orphan Train. Right now it's undergoing a cosmetic restoration.
New bench seats that are going in.
Yep.
Where again, most everything must be built by hand. Even firing up the engine is a major project. You don't just turn the key.
These engines, you have to light a fire and you have to let your boiler pressure build up. Now that can take 3 to 4 hours.
Once the train is fired up, it's rolled out for a daily ritual known as the boiler blowdown.
So opening up that valve sweeps a big mass of water off the bottom of the boiler and sweeps all that mud and sediment and other things, impurities out of the water. So you just blow it off the side first thing in the morning, and then you do it during the train ride itself as well.
Step on up.
More than 1,000 people a day step on board
I love hearing the whistle. It's fun.
for a narrated scenic trip back in time.
I thought it was great.
Well, it's just a great job.
And those who work here are having just as much fun.
You get to look at all these beautiful pieces of equipment. I get to work on them, get to meet all the people from all around the world, and
I get to talk to people and explain what's going on, tell them a little history and what they're seeing. It's fun.
And even those who've never been to South Dakota have had a chance to enjoy this historic train. The 1880 train, officially known as the Black Hills Central Railroad, has co-starred in a number of Hollywood productions. This engine number 7 was seen in a couple of episodes of Gunsmoke, Steven Spielberg's Into the West, and the major motion picture Orphan Train. But there's nothing like the real thing. Climbing on board, experiencing the rhythm of the rails, rolling through South Dakota's Black Hills on the 1880 train.